What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with another early round decision making series. These are guys that you are deciding on in round one. Today we're talking about Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. End of round one, beginning of round two. This is a tough decision for some people to make. I'm going to break it down today and tell you who I would take and all the reasons why. If you guys are new to the channel, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have a few of these early round decision making series out. Fantasy football profiles are out, values, sleepers, busts, league winners, all that stuff coming very soon. So stick around for that. If you want to beat your friends and family in football, in fantasy football, bring home that fantasy championship, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's the fastest way to make it happen. Post content throughout the regular season as well, so you're going to want to stick around, get that advantage over everybody else. Please hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. Let's talk down Jonathan Taylor. So this last year, Taylor was banged up, missed some games, had the contract extension, the holdout. But if you put him on a 17-game pace last year, he had 1,260 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns on the ground. He had some low reception numbers, only catching 33 balls. But those are overall really good numbers for him, despite bringing in Anthony Richardson, all the changes. He didn't get to play with Anthony Richardson a ton. But I do think Richardson could hurt some of his receptions and his goal line numbers just because he's a running threat. But I do think it should help his efficiency just having that another threat in that running game to hold, some of those defensive ends there. So get some of those other players' eyes on him for just a split second, let JT go to work. JT, I do think is the first option on the goal line for this team, though. I think that's one of the biggest differences between Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. I don't believe Saquon Barkley is their number one option on the goal line. Jonathan Taylor is very young and explosive as well. I really like Jonathan Taylor this season. I think he's going to have another year where he gets close to 20 touches a game, has well over 1,000 yards rushing, catches the ball. We've seen him, not have the biggest reception numbers in the past, but 3 years over 8 yards a catch is good. So if he does catch 30, that's 240 receiving yards, something like that, which obviously I think a lot of people can get behind when you're having the type of rushing production that he is going to have. They have a good offensive line in Indianapolis, maybe not as good as Philadelphia, but they're both top 10 units in the league. So a lot of things are going right for Jonathan Taylor this season, and I expect him to have a really strong campaign. Moving over to our friend in Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley. Now, the biggest thing for Saquon is just the potential loss on the goal line role due to the Philly push, the Philly shove, whatever they want to call it, the brotherly shove, the tush push. But he is an explosive enough player. I think he could have plenty of opportunities to score from the 5 or the 10. They could potentially sneak less with Saquon as well to try to protect Jalen Hurts. But honestly, I think the biggest thing to me is that goal line role just not being as guaranteed as I feel like it is for Jonathan Taylor. That is one of the biggest reasons I am going to go with Jonathan Taylor in the end. I do think Saquon will be more involved in the passing game, but I don't think it's to a high enough degree to make the goal line role different for me. I do think Saquon should be a little bit more consistent because of that pass catching, but I do think he'll end up scoring less touchdowns. So ultimately, to me, I would take Jonathan Taylor over him. Like I said, Saquon's efficiency numbers should grow dramatically this year. Better offensive line, great offensive line from a bad offensive line, good quarterback, good players around him, just a situation he's never really had before. But he is a little bit of an older player. For the running back position, he's not old, but when you compare him to a young guy like Jonathan Taylor, who's just 25, I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor this year in that first or second round, wherever you're having that decision to make, because of that goal line role. And like I said, even though the pass catching might be a little more for Saquon, I don't project it to be enough right now for me to jump all over it. I expect Jonathan Taylor to catch somewhere between 30 and 40 passes. I expect Saquon to be somewhere between 40 and 50. So not a big enough gap with that touchdown upside for JT to make me change my decision. But I do think both these players should be really strong players for fantasy football. We kind of have to nitpick a little bit these early round decisions, but that's where I would go. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. Let me guys know who you want to see next in this early round decision series. Let me know who you want to see a fantasy football profile of. Early round decisions, we already have Marvin Harrison versus Devontae Adams on the channel. Kyron versus ETN. Check both those videos out. A number of fantasy profiles. Values are out as well, so check out that content. Please, I really appreciate it. And this has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys so much for watching.